Hi guys, we've got another Magic Marangon tutorial here. I'm going to be running you through today how to use the Spreadsheet app on your Classpad, and probably throughout the entire course this is really the only time we'll use the Spreadsheets app, and we can sort of keep this in the spreadsheet the entire year and refer to it whenever we need to. So what you're going to want to do in just a moment is pause the video and set up what I have here on the Spreadsheet app. And so you've got raw data here, which is where you're going to put your raw data. You've got column 1, column 2, blah, 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 total, row 1, row 2, total. And then from there, you're going to set up a row percentage section. So you've got the 5 rows, the 5 columns, and the total. All right, so this is a row percentage table, and that's why we've only got the total for the rows. We don't have the total for the columns. And then we've got a column percentage table here, and you can see that there's no total because we're looking for a column percentage. So we've got the total for the columns. And then finally, if you want to, this one I guess is somewhat optional. It's a percentage of the total. So you can put in the raw data and it's going to calculate what each of these values are as a percentage of this total here. Okay, so that one will be the last one that you can put in. So go ahead, pause the video where you need to set up the spreadsheet, and then we can get started now. I'm going to show you how to use formulas to assist. All right, so hopefully you've paused the video and set it up. Now we're going to look at some formulas. So basically what you'll do at some point is you'll put in some raw data, and what we want this cell here to do is calculate the total of all of these, all right, the total sum. So we're going to ask the calculator to, and I like to put an equals at the start. Oh, you can't see that part. That's annoying. All right, so at the bottom of your little screen here, oops. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see what you're typing in down here. You probably won't see it. See if I can adjust the screen here. Yeah, that'll be better. All right, so in this little cell here, I want the equal. So you can always look down here at what I'm typing in. I want to calculate the sum of this column. So all I'm going to do with my stylus is select those and hit the little tick off to the side over here. And that's obviously giving me a value of 0 at the moment because I've got no values in there. But if I start punching in data, it's going to calculate the sum very simply. All right. Now, to avoid having to do that many times, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that slide and I'm going to drag from there across. Now, you'll notice when I do that, just in the middle here is some black lines. You can see those black lines popping up in the middle. That means it's going to copy across the formula. So if I look in here now, it's instead of having sum of B3 to B7, it's got the sum of C3 to C7. Now, sometimes you'll see when you copy across, and it's probably not going to do it for me now, can you notice in the middle here how there's no black line? That means all I'm doing is selecting, all right? Selecting like I'm selecting anything. But I find it works a little bit more often if you grab it next to the corner. If you grab it next to the corner and drag it across, okay, so it's selected that time. There we go, it's not working now. Oh my gosh, that's annoying. Oh my gosh, okay. Let me do one more. I don't know why it's not working. It's a bit of a pain. Sum of these. And then bang, there we go. Okay, and we're just going to continue copying across. You can copy across into the total. Okay, and if you want to, you can start copying in some numbers. Oops. Just putting in random numbers here. So you can see that it's adding totals. Anyway, okay. In this slide, we want equals sum of the row. Okay, I'm going to start powering through some of these. We're going to copy, and obviously total there's only 55. So if you add them up, good. Okay, so you can see what the table's doing there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move down into the row percentage, and this is where it starts to get a little bit trickier. What we want this cell here to do is, because remember this is a row percentage, all right? So we're working off this total here. So we would be doing for row 1, cell 1 of the raw data, we would be doing row 1, cell 1, that raw value divided by the total for that row because it's a row percentage. So I want equals. And if you just click, it actually will add the cell there for you. So I want whatever's in this cell divided by whatever is in the total cell for that row. All right, and that's worked out 3/8, and that is correct. Then what we want to do with that is we want it to continue the pattern. Now let me make sure that we're going to get this right when we do it. All right, let's just see how we go. So we're going to copy it down, and that's given me B4. So column 1, row 2. Column 1, row 2, that's what we want. Divided by G4, C4. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. B4, G4. Yeah, good. So it's taken the total, which is in G4 here. Let me just hit enter. So what it's done is it's taken this cell here, G4, and it did B4 divided by G4, so the total. So column 1, row 2 divided by the total for that row. Perfect. All right, so we know it's doing the right thing, so we can just continue to copy it down into row 5. And then I wonder if we copy this across. Sorry, this is the first time I've actually gone from start to finish. If this works, if we can copy across this way. So this is C3. So we want column 2, row 1. So column 2 is C3, and we want the total, which is G3. Yeah, see, it's moved across, so it's not going to work. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to fill in all of these top values and just drag them down. So I want this to equal that value divided by the total. Drag down. So am I happy with C4, which is row 2, and G4, which is also row 2. Perfect. So that's working. All right. So now we can get a bit of a groove on. Good. Now here I want this to be equal to whatever's in this cell. Now we're going to have a bit of a problem at the end here, but I'll show you. So whatever's in that cell divided by whatever's in the total. Now this is going to come up as undefined or 0 because there is no value in this one just yet. So watch this. This will change once I put a number in here. Watch this. So if I put a 5 in there, then that's actually giving me a value because there was nothing in there before. Okay, so I want this and I want to drag it down. Yes, there's no values in there, so we're going to get zeros, of course. Okay, this one we want that equal to that divided by that. You can see, once you know what's going on, you can start to really power through. Equals that, divide that. All right, we're firing through now. All right, we want this to equal, this is obviously a total, we want that to equal 1 whole. So we want that to calculate the sum of all of these, and if we've done it correctly, it should be 1 whole, right? Because it's a total, and these are percentages, so this is 23%, 38%, 38%. The total should be 100% for that row. So we're going to copy them down. That's as a percentage, by the way, guys. Just be aware of that. Okay. Now, column percentages. Now, I know this is much trickier for you because your actual display is much smaller, but the only real difficulty is going to be setting up the spreadsheet. Once the spreadsheet is set up, then all you need to do is put in your values and everything will be much easier. So, let's go to column percentages. So, we want this cell to be equal to whatever is in this raw value divided by whatever is in the total for that column. So that's 3/30, which is 0.1. So I always like to check that the value is actually correct. And let's see if that works. Let's see if this works to copy down. So if we copy that down, why we need to ask, is that undefined? Let's have a look. So it's it's giving us B4, which is what we want, and it's dividing it by B9. Yeah, okay, so you can see it's dividing it by this cell, so that's not actually working. But what it might work is if we go this way. So 5/25, C3 divided by C8 is what we want. C3, yeah, perfect. So that's working going across. Why is that 1 whole? Because there's only one number in there. That's perfect. That's working. Good. When there's no numbers in there, that's why it's undefined. If I put some numbers in, Actually, might just fill this in just to make life easier for us later on. Just showing you. You don't have to fill these numbers in. I'm just showing you what it's going to look like once it's full. All right. Good. Now we're getting some actual decent values in. Okay, so we're going to have to put them in manually across the row now. So we want this to be equal to R2 of the first table divided by that. And we want that to be equal to the third column divided by the total. And, sorry, I'm saying column, I should say row. The fourth row divided by the total. And the equals fifth row divided by total. Now you'll notice the whole time, even though I wasn't exactly sure if it was going to work, I always checked to see if the answer was correct, and I suggest you guys do the same. You should always be checking. Don't assume that you've just done it right, especially with spreadsheets. All right, good. Now we want total to be equal to the sum of these bad boys. Drag it across, should all be 1 if we've done it correctly. I guess that's a way of checking your answer. Good. All right. Now, percentage of total, I'm not going to waste my time with, but I will say this particular, for example, to work out this one, you would go equals, drag all the way up, that divided by the total, and you would literally do that for all of them. Equals. Oh, okay. Now let's get treated. So you could do that. If you wanted, you could go equals and that divided by that. Feel free to ignore this next part. I'm going to get a bit technical here. If you want it, I want C3. So I want D3. Yep, D column. All right. So if I want to always have what I'm looking at divided by the same thing every time. So if I, for example, because I want to divide them all by this cell here, G8. So if I want everything to be divided by G8, what I can do is I can go that divided by, if you put a dollar sign, G $8, what it's going to do is it's going to cement them in. All right, so it's always dividing by G8. So if I go across, if I drag this across, you'll notice G8 didn't change. Watch down here as I drag it across. G8 didn't change because the dollar signs glue it in, and it's F column. Good, so it's taking whatever was in F3. Good. Now let's see, we do the same thing here. Actually, I might just edit these, put some dollar signs in. All right, so now this should go to B4 as I drag down. Perfect. All right, so it's good to go. C4, yes, good. I mean, how much time is that saving? That's awesome. And you can literally just drag it into all of them. Anyway, okay, good. I'll let you guys. Oh, it's stuck in now. All right, so that's how you set the spreadsheet up. Now, I want to just, and then basically once you've done it, if you can just get rid of those, you'll have a complete spreadsheet ready to go. What you can do then is you can start answering questions. So you're going to leave this on your Classpad for the whole year. And then what I'm going to do is I've copied some, I think I'm answering a question from the book here. Okay, I've got a question from the book here. Question 17, page 16. Anyway, this is the data that's been given. And then it's asking you to recreate the table showing either row or column percentages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this raw data in. I've already put it into another spreadsheet, which I can copy in just to show you what it's going to look like. Oops. All right, so what I'm going to do, hopefully this pastes. Oh, no, didn't paste nicely. Okay, just put them in manually. 63, 17. So this is basically, whenever you get to a question, this is all you're really going to have to do is input the data. Now, you'll notice that I'm going to be putting in a 3x3 matrix or spreadsheet data values, but I've set the spreadsheet up with 5 columns and 5 rows. I've done that on purpose so that you should be able to answer questions up to 5x5. So basically just ignore the rest, all right? So we're only going to be using the 5x5, the 3x3. So you can see here, totals are all 1, which means it's worked out. Row 1, column 1 is 74%, 20%, 5.8%, 43.9%. And so if we were looking for a row percentage, we would have our row percentage table set up here ready for us. We just have to chuck it straight in. Look at how much time we've saved. All you need to do is put in the data, the raw values, and it automatically gives you a row and column percentage table right here. Look, there's your totals, 100%. There's your column. So if we go back to the question and look for the explanatory variable. So what is the explanatory variable? We're looking at level of respiratory and engagement in physical activity during pregnancy. So does it make more sense to say the more exercise, let's say, does exercise explain respiratory problems, or do respiratory problems explain exercise? And it makes more sense to say engagement in activity explains respiratory. All right, so this is our explanatory variable because it's explaining the presence of respiratory problems. So if this is our explanatory variable, we're looking for a row percentage table. Row percentage table. Okay, so we would calculate totals here. So when we go back to our spreadsheet, we've put in the values. All right, those 9 values, and we're looking at the row percentage. So for this particular question, you can ignore the column, but it's there in case it was a column question. So any question that asks you to create a row or column, you can put in the raw data, and it would give you either the row or the column. You just select which one you want to use for that particular question. We're looking at this one, and we are done. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Feel free to watch the video over a couple of times if you need to.